As an introduction to my series on Civ 6 Domination, I'm going to show you guys a bit of an unusual map and a navally focused Civ, taking it on with Domination in less than opportune conditions. So let's go over how this happened. I started out on the northern coastline of this inland sea. I settled an area with very little resources. Nonetheless, I built the Viking ships, I got the maritime industry's advantage, I got shipbuilding, or sailing I believe it was, and that led me to have Viking ships as much as I need. Maybe I had 2 or 3 going this way to the west, and then some later going to the east. In the end, it brought me maybe a city from France, a city of China's, because it's a matter of the AI's whim whether they settle on the coast on a map like this. They have very little choice on a island plates map, something like that, or even continents. And if you go on a Pangea map, it's a similar dilemma as this, but perhaps less as extreme, because there's a very large ring of coastal cities they could have on the coastline, the edge of the continent. But basically, I didn't have a lot of cities in this playthrough, and cities are key to getting you to where you can keep up with science, and you could get to the holy grail of domination, the modern era siege weapon, the bomber. So you need these cities, and instead what I ended up doing was sending settlers through when you get shipbuilding and you can embark them, sending them to different coastal spots, as well as sending them into like the area north of where my founding city was, and sometimes adjacent to cities that I had captured when possible. For example, the Chinese city of Changsha became mine, and then I settled another city to the east of it. In any case, I got to a point where I could levy the number of cities I had and build libraries, campuses, and universities, and combine good policy cards like rationalism to try to get me as much science as I could. And I embarked on a straight path towards advanced flight. Now, despite that, I thought I still need to keep up, and there are the other civilizations that are getting close to beating me with the science victory. In Deity, that seems to be their go-to path to screw with you. But I had the advantage of having every longship be a pillager. It's a small advantage on a map like this. Same problem with the city taking that they do. But even if a city happens to settle inland, they might make their district adjacent to the sea. And there were only like 2 districts adjacent to the sea that I would plunder and really gain from. The Americans had a university campus district, and the Greeks of Sparta had a stock exchange, and they would use their deity handicap resources to just keep rebuilding those like every 10 or 20 turns, and I would just pillage them again. And you get bonus pillaging with sack, a policy card for, I believe, military. So this did lead to me making up for some of the handicaps of this map and getting to advanced flight. By the time I got to advanced flight, the Congo civilization was getting close to having a spaceport and all of that with the science victory. So I took them on, and they actually gave me a run for my money, but I crippled them, and I had to take a few of their cities, because like they could go in and like kill your modern armor if it's not protected, and sometimes there were like some distance issues. You see, most of the time the other civilizations build trade routes, which accidentally weakens them against you. They build all the infrastructure in Deity that you can use as a conqueror to take advantage of. But the terrain did not allow for that in one of the cities, so I lost some tanks, and it kind of slowed me down. And by the time I was dealing with them, I had other fish to fry, like Sumer. And then when I go down to deal with Sumer, the Americans end up having a lot of science. So it's like a snowball effect where every civilization ends up going for a tech victory. And you have to go around this whole ring of the world, slowly whittling down cities to cripple the civilizations that are trying to beat you, and moving, bombers, and also buying tanks in C2 so that you can just have them march into cities and take them as soon as the bombers weaken those cities. But nonetheless, the Americans got pretty angry when I was attacking their civ. They nuked one of my coastal cities 3 times. It wasn't particularly useful the first time they nuked it, and there was no point in nuking it the 2 other times after. Something you don't usually see in a Civ game, but maybe I haven't played enough of Civ 6. So, anyway, it was a whole process of me having some bombers maybe on one side of the world, some on another, and unlike other worlds, there was no center mass of cities that I could have them jump between, so I had to just go around the ring of the world, and that was a logistical concern. Oftentimes these enemy civilizations don't get to a science victory in time if you're gunning for them and you're doing everything right, but if you don't have the ability to take them down, if you don't have the bombers, then they can do it and they can sneak up on you. So that's why I'm pretty concerned about getting rid of each civ. It got to the point where I do this successively with the Congo, Sumer, Rome got very close, Germany got very close, India didn't get so close, but virtually every single civilization, Sparta on the map, they all got very close to getting a tech victory in the sense of progressing along that path with technologies, with the spaceport. And it finally came down to the point where I just started to have most of the world's area around the ring, as you can see, but I also just started to take capital cities of enemy civilizations until I had them all, and the bombers got a straight path through cities, take a few cities in turns with the tanks rushing in and taking those cities, and I could go straight for the capitals. So I made quick work of everything, except it's not that quick, because if I still had the full footage, it'd be like 5 hours. Anyway, my other videos will be more indicative of this process, showing it turn by turn, but I hope this gives you a good summary of how it could work in a unique map situation with a navally focused civ adapting to that situation.